First contact protocol gone wrong. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the UES Prudent Foresight, watching the crystalline spires of the Arcturus station diminish behind them. The station's signature blue-white glow, powered by its antimatter core, cast long shadows across the ship's hull. Her first command, and it had to be a diplomatic mission. The brass had a peculiar sense of humor, giving a warship captain a peacekeeping assignment. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Rodriguez called from his station, "we're receiving the final clearance codes from Arcturus Control. They've also attached a rather unusual addendum to our mission parameters." Sarah turned from the viewport, her expression carefully neutral. "Unusual how, Lieutenant?" "They want us to make a stop at Installation 7 Delta before proceeding to the Centauri confluence. Something about checking the maintenance logs." Rodriguez's brow furrowed as he read through the transmission. "This isn't exactly on our way to the diplomatic summit." Sarah knew Installation 7 Delta by reputation only, one of humanity's many just-in-case facilities scattered throughout their territory. The official records listed it as a deep space monitoring station, but like most human military personnel, she knew better. Every installation numbered with a 7 was part of the insurance protocol. "Plot the course," she ordered, settling into her command chair. "How long until we reach the installation?" "Approximately 47 hours at standard drive capacity, Commander. We'll still make the summit with time to spare." The next 2 days passed in the comfortable routine of shipboard life. Sarah used the time to review the diplomatic briefings on the Centauri confluence, humanity's first major multi-species gathering since the Proxima incident 3 years ago. The fact that they were even invited was a sign of progress. Installation 7 Delta appeared on their sensors exactly when expected, a seemingly unremarkable asteroid facility orbiting a red dwarf star. As they approached, Sarah noticed something odd about its power signature. "Engineering, are you seeing these readings?" she asked. Chief Engineer Patel's voice came through clear on the bridge speakers. "Aye, Commander. The installation's drawing enough power to run a small city, but most of it's being channeled somewhere deep inside the asteroid. Never seen shielding quite like this either. It's like they're trying to hide something big." Sarah felt a familiar tension in her shoulders. In her experience, anything humans tried this hard to hide was either extraordinarily dangerous or extraordinarily valuable, often both. "Take us in closer, Helm." Standard docking procedures. The docking went smoothly, and Sarah led the inspection team personally. The installation's corridors were pristine but clearly automated. No permanent crew, just maintenance drones that scurried out of their way. They followed the power signatures deeper into the asteroid's core. "Commander," Security Officer Chang whispered, "these security measures, they're not just about keeping people out. Look at the placement of the containment fields. They're designed to hold something in." Sarah nodded. She'd noticed the same thing. Every door they passed through had redundant systems. Every corridor could be sealed and vented in seconds. Whatever humanity had built here, they'd been very, very careful with it. They'd reached the central chamber after passing through 7 separate security checkpoints. The massive door bore a simple designation: Project Longshot. Insurance Protocol Alpha. "Insurance against what?" Rodriguez muttered. Sarah placed her hand on the biometric scanner. As a command-level officer, she had theoretical access to all insurance protocol facilities, but she'd never actually visited one before. The door slid open with a pneumatic hiss. The chamber beyond was vast, carved directly from the asteroid's heart. In its center, suspended in a cradle of exotic materials Sarah couldn't even name, was a single tube. It was perhaps 20 meters long, unremarkable in appearance except for the strange way light seemed to bend around it. "Welcome, Commander Chen," a synthetic voice announced. "You are here to verify the maintenance logs." "Correct," Sarah replied, though she was beginning to suspect this was more than a simple inspection. "Please proceed with the status report." "Project Longshot remains at optimal operational capacity," the AI reported. "Primary containment is stable. Secondary and tertiary containment systems are functioning within normal parameters. The weapon remains primed but secure. Sarah felt her blood run cold. Weapon? Affirmative. Project Longshot represents humanity's ultimate insurance policy. The tube contains a controlled quantum singularity capable of being transported through hyperspace and deployed at a target location. Upon activation, it creates a cascade effect that can render an entire solar system uninhabitable within minutes. The chamber fell silent except for the soft hum of power coursing through the containment systems. Sarah stared at the innocent-looking tube, understanding dawning in her mind. This wasn't just a weapon. It was a deterrent. A way for humanity to say to the galaxy, "We come in peace, but if you try to destroy us, we can destroy you right back." "Commander," Rodriguez said quietly, "the diplomatic summit. Do you think?" "That's exactly what I think, Lieutenant." Sarah took a deep breath. "We're not just going to talk about peace. We're going to be showing them exactly why they should want to maintain it." As they made their way back to the ship, Sarah couldn't help but smile at the sheer audacity of it all. Trust humans to build the galaxy's deadliest weapon and call it an insurance policy. The really interesting question was, would the other species at the summit appreciate humanity's peculiar brand of preparedness, or would they see it as a threat? She had a feeling she was about to find out. The burden of knowledge. The Centauri confluence loomed before the UES prudent foresight like a crystalline dream. Hundreds of ships from 24 species orbited the massive space station, their hull designs as varied as the civilizations that built them. Sarah watched from the bridge as her helmsman carefully maneuvered through the crowded approach vector. "Interesting welcome party," Rodriguez noted, gesturing to the scanner display. 3 Arxian warships had broken formation to escort them in, their distinctive blade-shaped hulls glinting in the light of Alpha Centauri. "They're curious about us," Sarah replied, keeping her voice steady despite her unease. The knowledge of Installation 7 Delta weighed heavily on her mind. "We're the newest members of the confluence, and the only ones who joined after fighting off an invasion." The Proxima incident. 3 years ago, the Keth-era Dominion had attempted to establish a beachhead in human space, assuming the newly spacefaring species would be easy prey. They'd been wrong. Humanity had revealed capabilities that shocked the galactic community, and that was before anyone knew about installations like 7 Delta. Centauri control to UES prudent foresight. A melodious voice chimed through the comm system. "You are cleared for docking at Bay E17. Ambassador Reltax will meet you upon arrival." Sarah acknowledged the transmission and turned to her crew. "Remember your briefings. We're here to demonstrate that humanity can be a valuable, stable member of the galactic community. That means perfect protocol, perfect manners, and perfect control." The docking procedure went smoothly, and Sarah led her diplomatic team through the airlock. Ambassador Reltax waited beyond, a tall, willowy figure with iridescent skin and 4 arms folded in the traditional greeting pose of the Arxian people. Commander Chen, the ambassador's translator, rendered their musical language into standard English. "Welcome to the confluence. We have much to discuss." Sarah followed the ambassador through corridors filled with representatives of a dozen species. Some she recognized from briefings: the crystalline Telluri, the massive gardeners, the serpentine Vakri. Others were completely new to her. They entered a private conference room where several other ambassadors waited. Sarah's tactical training immediately noted their positions, species, and likely political alignments. The Arxians and their allies on one side, the Independent Worlds Coalition on the other, and in the center, "Commander," a gravelly voice spoke from the shadows. "I am Director Kix of Special Intelligence. We need to discuss Installation 7 Delta." Sarah's blood ran cold, but her expression remained neutral. "I'm afraid I don't understand, Director. 7 Delta is a standard monitoring station." "Please, Commander." The Director's multiple eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of amusement in their species. "Our quantum sensors detected the power signature when you visited. We've known about humanity's insurance policies for some time. What interests us is why you chose to inspect this particular one before coming here." The room fell silent. Sarah weighed her options carefully, remembering her true mission parameters. This wasn't just about diplomacy. It was about establishing humanity's position in the galactic order. "Very well," she said finally. "You want to know about 7 Delta. Let me tell you about humanity's approach to peace." For the next hour, Sarah explained the philosophy behind the insurance protocol. She watched their reactions carefully as she described how humanity, upon reaching the stars, had immediately begun preparing for worst-case scenarios. "We call it defensive pessimism," she explained. "We hope for the best but prepare for the worst. 7 Delta isn't just a weapon. It's a statement of intent. We will never strike first, but we will always be ready to strike back. A planet killer in an asteroid," Ambassador Reltax mused, "hidden in plain sight, yet its existence deliberately made just detectable enough to serve as a deterrent. Very human." "We prefer to think of it as very practical," Sarah countered. "The galaxy is vast and often hostile. The Proxima incident proved that. We survived because we were prepared. 7 Delta and its siblings exist to ensure we never face extinction as a species. And what prevents you from using these weapons offensively?" one of the independent world's representatives demanded. Sarah smiled. "The same thing that prevents you from using your own superweapons, the knowledge that escalation leads to mutual destruction. We've studied our history. We know how deterrence works." "The difference," Director Cox interjected, "is that most species develop such weapons after joining the galactic community. You created yours in secret before anyone knew to look for them. Would you have preferred we waited until after another invasion?" Sarah's voice carried just enough edge to make several ambassadors shift uncomfortably. "Humanity values peace, but we value survival more. 7 Delta exists precisely because we hope never to use it." The discussion continued well into the station's night cycle. Sarah could see the shifting dynamics as different species processed the implications of humanity's insurance policy. Some were outraged, others impressed, but all of them were reevaluating their assessment of Earth's civilization. As she finally retired to her quarters aboard the Prudent Foresight, Sarah received a priority message from Earth Command. The content was brief but significant. "Insurance protocol discussion authorized. Proceed with Phase 2. Sarah stared out her viewport at the glittering expanse of the confluence. Tomorrow, she would begin explaining humanity's larger role in galactic security. The insurance protocol wasn't just about protecting Earth. It was about establishing a new framework for interstellar peace. The real question was whether the galaxy was ready for humanity's particular brand of peacekeeping. The storm breaks. The emergency alert shattered the pre-dawn quiet of the confluence station. Sarah was already awake, reviewing reports in her quarters when the station's AI made the announcement. Priority 1 alert. All diplomatic personnel report to the central chamber immediately. She was halfway to the chamber when Rodriguez caught up with her, tablet in hand. "Commander, long-range sensors have detected something." "Multiple somethings. They're coming in fast from the direction of the Carina arm." The central chamber was chaos when they arrived. Representatives from 24 species argued in a cacophony of translated voices. Director Cox stood at the center. Their multiple eyes rapidly shifting colors in what Sarah had learned indicated extreme stress. Silence. The director's translated voice cut through the noise. "The threat we have feared for generations has finally arrived. The swarm has awakened." Holographic displays materialized around the chamber, showing a mass of objects moving through space at impossible speeds. Sarah's tactical training kicked in as she analyzed the formation. "Those are warships, thousands of them." "Millions," Cox corrected. "The swarm is not a species as we understand it. They are a machine intelligence that emerges every few million years to harvest advanced civilizations. The last time they appeared, they wiped out the precursor civilization that once ruled this galaxy." Ambassador Reltax's iridescent skin had dulled to a pale gray. "Our legends speak of them. We thought they were myths, cautionary tales about the dangers of technological advancement. The precursors left warnings, Kiths continued. But we grew complacent. Our civilizations focused on commerce, on politics, on peaceful coexistence. We forgot to prepare for the worst. Sarah felt every eye in the chamber turn to her. The implications were clear. Humanity, the newcomers who had seemed so paranoid with their insurance protocols and hidden weapons, might have been preparing for exactly this kind of threat all along. She activated her neural link to the prudent foresight. Gridge, get me a direct line to Earth Command. Priority Black. The response came almost immediately, suggesting Earth Command had already been aware of the situation. The holographic face of Admiral Chen, no relation, though the coincidence had caused some confusion, appeared in the chamber. Commander, the Admiral's expression was grim. I assume you're aware of the situation. Yes, sir. The swarm has been detected approaching from the Carina Arm. Request activation of Continental Protocol. A murmur went through the assembled aliens. Nobody had mentioned a Continental Protocol before. The Admiral's hologram nodded. Granted. Security clearance Omega. Full disclosure authorized. Sarah turned to address the chamber. Representatives of the Confluence, what I'm about to tell you will change everything you think you know about humanity's preparedness protocols. Installation 7 Delta isn't just an insurance policy against conventional threats. It's part of a larger network we've been building since we first detected automated signals from the direction of the Carina Arm 50 years ago. She gestured, and new holographic displays appeared, showing a complex network of installations and hidden facilities throughout human space and beyond. We didn't know exactly what was coming, but we knew something was out there. Something old and vastly powerful, sending out automated signals on frequencies that seemed designed to trigger responses from advanced civilizations. You knew? Director Kix's translator couldn't quite capture the complex emotions in their voice. You knew about the swarm. We suspected, Sarah corrected. Enough to prepare. Every Installation 7 facility contains what we call a long-shot device. Quantum singularity weapons capable of destroying solar systems, but they're not meant to be used individually. Understanding dawned on Ambassador Reltax's face. They're part of a network. Exactly. When activated in concert, the long-shot network creates a quantum resonance field that can disrupt artificial intelligence systems on a massive scale. We designed it specifically to counter a machine intelligence threat, though we weren't certain when or if we'd need it. The chamber erupted in a mix of shock, anger, and desperate hope. Sarah watched as the various species representatives struggled with the revelation that humanity, the newcomers, the supposed primitives, might have been several steps ahead of them all along. How? One of the independent world's representatives demanded. How did a species that only achieved faster-than-light travel a century ago manage to build such a defensive network? Sarah smiled grimly. Because that's what humans do. We look at the darkness between the stars, and we think, what's the worst that could be out there? Then we prepare for it. Not because we want to fight, but because we want to survive. A new alert sounded. The swarm had accelerated. They would reach the outer edges of confluent space within days. The question now, Sarah said, her voice carrying across the suddenly silent chamber, is whether you'll let us help you survive too. Humanity's gambit. The next 48 hours transformed the Centauri confluence from a diplomatic hub into a war room. Sarah watched as centuries of careful political maneuvering between species dissolved in the face of extinction. What emerged was something unprecedented, genuine cooperation. The long-shot network covers approximately 60% of anticipated swarm approach vectors, Sarah explained to the assembled War Council. The holographic display showed humanity's hidden network of installations spread across multiple spiral arms of the galaxy. But we need to expand coverage to create a complete quantum resonance field. Director Kix's eyes shifted to a deep purple of concentration. The Arxian Empire has similar facilities we could convert. not as advanced, but with your specifications. The Vakri Collective can provide quantum stabilizers, another representative added. We developed them for deep space research, but they could be modified. Sarah nodded. Every species here has something to contribute. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our preparedness. It's our ability to improvise, to take pieces that don't seem to fit and make them work together. The UES Prudent Foresight became the center of operations. Sarah's crew worked around the clock with alien engineers, adapting humanity's defensive protocols to work with technologies they'd never imagined. The ship's AI struggled to translate dozens of technical languages simultaneously, but they made progress. Commander, Rodriguez called out during one of their brief rest periods. You need to see this. The tactical display showed the swarm's advance. They weren't just coming in a single mass anymore. They were spreading out, adapting their approach. They're learning, Sarah realized. They're analyzing our defensive preparations and changing strategy. That's not all. Rodriguez highlighted a section of the display. Look at their power signatures. They're not just machines. They're quantum-enabled AIs. Our original resonance field calculations might not be enough. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Humanity had prepared for a machine intelligence, yes, but this was more sophisticated. She opened a channel to Earth Command. Admiral Chen's hologram appeared instantly. We see it too, Commander. Implementing Continental Protocol Beta. Beta. Sarah's eyes widened. Sir, that's untested. The power requirements alone. Sometimes the insurance policy needs an insurance policy, the Admiral said grimly. You have new orders. Evacuate the confluence. All diplomatic personnel, all civilian ships. Hit them clear of the resonance zone. Sarah understood immediately. Beta Protocol wasn't just about disrupting the swarm. It would create a quantum vacuum that could affect any sophisticated technology caught in its radius. They were about to turn a defensive weapon into something far more aggressive. The evacuation caused predictable panic until Sarah revealed the next part of humanity's preparations. The Prudent Foresight isn't just a diplomatic vessel, she announced to the assembled representatives. Like everything humanity builds, it has a backup purpose. This ship can serve as a mobile command center outside the resonance zone, coordinating the network even after it's activated. Ambassador Reltax's skin rippled with colors of amazement. You planned for this exact scenario. No, Sarah admitted. We planned for something like it. Humans don't believe in perfect solutions. We believe in having options. The Prudent Foresight was designed to handle a dozen different crisis scenarios. This is just one of them. As the evacuation proceeded, Sarah received the final calculations from Earth Command. The combined long-shot network, enhanced by alien technology and operating under Beta Protocol, would create a quantum disruption field larger than anything ever attempted. The power draw would burn out most of the installations, possibly destroying them completely. A one-shot weapon. Director Cooks observed. How appropriately named. That's why we call it insurance, Sarah replied. You hope you never need it, but when you do, you don't hesitate to use it. The swarm was now close enough that their individual ships were visible on long-range scans. Massive constructs of dark metal and energy, each one larger than the largest confluence vessels. Their movements were perfectly coordinated, suggesting a single controlling intelligence of staggering complexity. As the last civilian ships cleared the resonance zone, Sarah took her place on the Prudent Foresight's bridge. The weight of 3 days without sleep pressed against her consciousness, but adrenaline kept her focused. Humanity's greatest gambit was about to begin. All installations report ready, Rodriguez announced. Quantum synchronization at optimal levels. Alien technologies successfully integrated. Sarah opened a channel to all Allied ships now gathered safely outside the blast radius. This is Commander Chen. In about 10 minutes, humanity's paranoia is either going to save the galaxy, or we're about to learn that even our worst-case scenarios weren't worst enough. Either way, it's been an honor. She took a deep breath and gave the order that would test humanity's preparation against an ancient threat they'd only theorized about. Execute Continental Protocol Beta. All installations, fire. When preparation meets opportunity. The universe seemed to hold its breath. On the bridge of the prudent foresight, Sarah watched as the coordinated activation of the long-shot network began. Each installation lit up on her tactical display like stars going nova. Quantum resonance field forming, Rodriguez reported, his voice tense. Wave propagation at expected parameters. First contact with swarm vessels in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The leading edge of the quantum disruption field met the first wave of swarm ships. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the laws of physics reasserted themselves with devastating effect. The swarm ships didn't explode. They simply stopped. Their quantum processors, caught in the destructive resonance field, experienced what humans would later call recursive temporal collapse. Past, present, and future states of their AI cores existed simultaneously, creating a paradox that their systems couldn't resolve. "Holy shit," someone whispered on the bridge. "It's actually working." But the swarm wasn't finished. The ships at the back of their formation began to adapt, their hull configurations shifting to something new. They were learning, evolving in real time. Power surge detected in the network, Rodriguez called out. The swarm is attempting to reverse the quantum field. Sarah had expected this. It was, after all, why humans always built redundancies into their plans. Initiate Protocol Beta Phase 2, she ordered. Activate the quantum sink. This was humanity's true insurance policy, not just a weapon, but a trap. The long-shot network wasn't just creating a disruption field. It was generating a quantum singularity that would feed on the very attempts to counter it. The more the swarm fought back, the stronger the field. "Commander," Director Cox's voice came through the comm. "Our sensors indicate the swarm's collective consciousness is attempting to download itself into subspace. They're trying to escape." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Let them try." Phase 3. The quantum sink suddenly inverted, its effect reaching into subspace itself. The swarm's attempt to escape had played directly into humanity's preparations. They had created not just a weapon, but an entire battlefield designed to counter every possible response. The next few minutes were chaos as the swarm fought desperately against the trap they'd stumbled into. Their ships began to fall silent, their impossibly advanced AI cores reduced to inert matter by the cascading quantum collapse. When it was over, the silence felt absolute. The tactical display showed a field of dead ships stretching across light years of space. The long-shot network, as predicted, was burned out. Hundreds of installations destroyed by the massive power requirements of the operation. "Status report," Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "Swarm vessels show no signs of activity," Rodriguez reported. "Quantum field is dissipating as planned." We did it, Commander. We actually did it." The comm system suddenly lit up with incoming transmissions from every species in the confluence. Sarah activated the main channel, and the bridge was filled with a cacophony of voices expressing everything from jubilation to disbelief. Ambassador Reltax's voice cut through the chaos. "Commander Chen, humanity has done more than save us. You've changed everything we thought we knew about preparedness, about cooperation, about survival itself." "No," Sarah replied, looking at the displays showing the combined efforts of multiple species that had made victory possible. "We just did what humans always do. We prepared for the worst while hoping for the best, and we brought everyone else along with us." Director Cox's image appeared on the main screen, their eyes cycling through colors Sarah had never seen before. "The confluence will need to change after this. Our entire approach to galactic security must be reevaluated." "I have a suggestion about that," Sarah said, pulling up a file she'd prepared years ago. "Another example of humanity's endless contingency planning. We call it the Guardian Protocol, a framework for combining humanity's preparedness doctrine with the diverse technologies and perspectives of all confluent species. As she began explaining the proposal, Sarah reflected on how humanity's paranoia had transformed into the galaxy's salvation. The insurance protocol had worked exactly as intended, not just protecting humanity, but becoming the foundation for something greater. In the end, it turned out that humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy wasn't their weapons or their strategies. It was their fundamental understanding that peace comes not just from hoping for the best, but from being ready for the worst. The prudent foresight turned back toward the Confluence Station. Its mission changed, but its purpose the same: to represent humanity's unique approach to galactic citizenship. It would rebuild the long-shot network, better than before, integrating the strengths of all species. Because humans knew that somewhere out there, something worse than the swarm might be waiting, and humanity would make damn sure the galaxy was ready for it.